Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified Doctor of Naturopathy, Dr. Stephen Cabral, shares with you exactly how you can reverse aging, take back your health, and live a life full of energy and passion, with new 20-minute episodes every single day to keep you healthy and engaged. Now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
All right, everybody, diving into a brand new show. Here we go. This is episode 2806 of the Cabral Concept. I'm going to give the three big takeaways as well as the clinical science, the research behind this, over at that link, stephencabral.com/2806. Today, I want to dive into how short bursts of activity, and we're talking about just minutes, literally just minutes at a time, that's all, can help to live to a longer and healthier lifestyle. Basically, what this means is that with a little bit of work, just a little bit throughout the day, spaced throughout the day, you can live longer, stronger. And I want to bring that research to you right now. This was done out of the University of Sydney. So people who don't exercise can still reap the tremendous benefits by briefly increasing their exertion level during everyday activities. A recent study by Australia University of Sydney used data from more than 25,000 users of wearable fitness trackers to compare those who never engage in vigorous activity and those who occasionally get their heart rates up for a minute or so, just a minute or so, okay? So here are the results, and then I'm going to go over the favorable notations and what it means. Now, non-exercisers who exert themselves now and then tend to outlive those who don't ever exert themselves, even if it's only for a couple minutes at a time. Now, it brings me back when I'm thinking about the different blue zones, and I'm thinking about these people never weight trained. They never did high intensity training. They mainly walked, but what do they do? Well, they did a little bit of gardening. So they got a little bit of that zone 2 cardio in there, typically on a daily basis. But they also walked hills. Almost 4 out of the 5 populations had a lot of hilly-based areas, mountains, mountainous-based regions, and their heart rate would get up for a few minutes at a time while doing those hills. Really interesting. So here's where I want to go deeper. Now, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't exercise. I do believe that you should exercise, but even if you don't, here's the notables. And by the way, this article is by Emmanuel Stamatakis, who's a PhD. Emmanuel Stamatakis. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, but I always give due where due is due. All right, especially notable, engaging in several bursts of vigorous activity totaling 3 to 4 minutes per day. That's literally it. 3 to 4 minutes per day is associated with a 49% reduction in death from cardiovascular disease and up to a 40% reduction in all-cause and cancer-related mortality. That is an insane statistic. There is no drug in the world that is able to do that. And the only thing that I've seen outdo that statistic is sauna. It's the only thing that I've seen so far in my research that has a 49% reduction, that can beat a 49% reduction in cardiovascular disease. Sauna is up to 63% for 19 minutes each day. This is 3 to 4 minutes. That's it, per day. And it's even most days per week. It's not even necessarily every day. And a 40% reduction in all-cause mortality, which essentially is just a couple points less than what sauna is. So this is absolutely remarkable. Now, should you not do sauna and only do this? No, of course, do both, right? Do both. That gives you even better odds. So here's the thing. Feeling slightly out of breath is a clue that your heart rate is elevated, because these are vigorous. So it means like doing one hill sprint. That's what this equates to. And there's a famous triathlete. He's like 94 years old right now. He has a book written about him. You know what? I'm going to link it up here today. And maybe I'll even put it in my Friday review tomorrow. But 2806, I'll link up the book. 94-year-old triathlete. Every morning, what he does is he sprints a hill. That's what he does before he does the rest of his day. I mean, it's just remarkable, right? Maybe there's something to that. All right, so for most adults, walking at a pace of 120 to 130 steps per minute or above for at least 30 to 40 seconds will do the trick. Most people are not going to know what that is. Like that's non-usable advice. So what's most likely more usable advice is to get on an upright bike or to do, one sprint for 30 seconds, because your heart rate will remain elevated for a minute and a half. And you might do 3 of those per day. Or you don't want to do sprints because you're worried about straining your hamstring or whatever. I totally get it. Makes sense. What if you did a set of 20 burpees, right? That would get your heart going for 3 to 4 minutes. That might be excellent for you to do. And if you can't do 20 burpees, start with 5. Right? And if you don't know what a burpee is, we'll link that up here today as well. Also called a squat thrust. All right, so that's basically it. Let me give you the last from Dr. Stamakis. Stamakis, I apologize that I'm mispronouncing that name. So find opportunities for short bursts of vigorous activity each day. You might push your pace for several 30 to 60 second segments of an otherwise leisurely stroll, for example. But the thing is, if you're walking, it's so hard to get your heart rate to a vigorous level just walking. You really can't get out of zone 2, maybe zone 3 cardio-wise. And if you don't know what the zones are for cardio, we'll link up a podcast for that too. So what you want to do is you want to find a brief period of time for 1 minute or so where you can do a set of burpees. If you work in an office, you'll get down maybe at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and then maybe before dinner. And you'll do 3 sets of burpees for the day and you are done. Literally, you're done. And that's going to get your heart rate up. So the last thing they said was this: the most dramatic longevity gains are achieved by shifting from a non-vigorous activity to 3 to 4 minutes of vigorous activity per day, divided into several short bursts. Getting even more bursts of activity is better. 11 brief activity bursts a day is associated with a 65% reduction in cardio death risk compared with people who engage in no vigorous activity. So now it goes from 49% reduction in cardiovascular disease and death to 65%, which basically now matches sauna. So these are some great statistics. Right now, I'm not asking you to do a half-hour workout, a 45-minute workout. I'm saying 1 short burst of activity 3 times a day is going to help improve most likely your overall health span, but definitely by this data, your lifespan. Hopefully this was helpful. As always, all the show notes will be at stephencabral.com/2806 for this particular show. And don't forget to tune back in tomorrow where I'll be going over our Friday review. I always bring you 2 new research studies, a product review, typically a book review, and so much more. Thank you, everybody. Do feel free to share the show with anyone you believe it could serve. Thanks so much. Take care. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp hearts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.